Good afternoon, everyone. Today we have Dr. Linge Goda, who is Registrar from Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences. Before we formally start the program, sir will address all the participants. Over to sir.
Namaste. Good afternoon, everybody. At the outset, I would like to thank Ramaiah Medical College staff for organizing this Zoom meeting across the state. And from a couple of weeks, we have been organizing several programs to reach everybody. And today, biomedical waste management will be addressed by several people. Any doubts in the next 2 hours, kindly clarify. Our intention is to see to it that we are well prepared to fight this COVID-19 situation in our state. And so far, we are well prepared. ನಮ್ಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಏನೇ ವರ್ಷ ಸಿಚುಯೇಷನ್ ಬಂದರೂ ಸಹಿತ ಈ ವಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಬಂದು ವೆಲ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಹಿತ ಒಂದು ಸಿದ್ಧತೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರವಾಗಿ ಇವಾಗ ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ನಂತರ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಮಯ್ಯ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಅವರು ಕಳೆದ ವಾರ ಸೇಮ್ ಈ ಏನು ಈ ಬಯೋಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗೆ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಡಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಇತರೆ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಗೆ ಸಹಿತ ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೈನಿಂಗ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಇವತ್ತು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ನರ್ಸಸ್ and especially this is a very important aspect as far as biomedical waste management is concerned. Most of the people don't understand. So in this regard, kindly log into our Zoom meeting, and after this meeting, whatever doubts you have, the same thing will be put in the website and Google or YouTube and Facebook. Please encourage people to see this and make use of these things. And I welcome all of you for this Zoom meeting. Over to the speakers.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before we formally start, I thought we'll give one brief introduction about the program. At the outset, welcome all to the training program on biomedical waste management for doctors and nurses. This training program we have kept in mind especially with regards to ongoing COVID situation. This training is important since the standard precautions to be followed and the way we need to manage biomedical waste during this situation should be much more stringent. And today's program has been devised to address all these concerns, and our team will present the guidelines, whatever has been, that is ongoing. We'll be following Central Pollution CPCB guidelines that has been evolved by CPCB on management of biomedical waste. And after this, there will also be a question and answer session. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we start the program, we thought I'll just introduce the subjects that we are going to discuss today in the training program. And the whole program has been designed keeping in mind the current COVID situation, and the guidance that will be followed will be which has been evolved from CPCB. At the end of the session, there will be a question and answer session. Whatever questions that you have, please type it onto the chat box also, so that while the program is ongoing, we can also start preparing the responses for your questions. I hope I'm clear. So over to our team for the presentations.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. This is Suman here from the Department of Community Medicine, MS Ramaiah Medical College. I'll be handling with what the CPCB guidelines says. The Central Pollution Control Board, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has issued guidelines specifically for COVID-19 situation. Let's go through what the guidelines says. And in the guidelines, yes, the guidelines, in the guidelines, we'll be dealing it in 3 aspects. They have issued guidelines for isolation wards and ICUs, sample collection centers and laboratories, and quarantine centers. What are the responsibilities of people who are manning them, and also duties of common biomedical waste management treatment facility, the state pollution control boards, and the urban local bodies. So these are the 3 aspects in which the guideline says. What does it say is the general guidelines for isolation wards and sample collection centers are more or less similar. They say when you start off with these isolation wards or sample collection centers, please report to the concerned SPCB as well as the common biomedical waste treatment regarding opening of COVID ward. we need to use the same color-coded bins that were there earlier as per biomedical waste management rules of 2016. The difference here is you're using a double bag and a label of COVID-19 waste. You need to have dedicated trolleys and a temporary storage area also. They have said that the waste can be directly lifted from the isolation wards, that is segregated waste. If that is not possible, then you need to have a separate storage space or a separate area that is specifically meant only for COVID-19 waste. You need to record the amount of waste that is generated in this aspect. You need to have dedicated sanitary workers who will be doing only the COVID waste or handling it. And every day you need to disinfect the liners as well as the bins inside and outside of the bins with 1% sodium hypochlorite on a daily basis. And at the quarantine centers, which is a little different from your isolation wards and isolation or the sample collection centers, the general waste needs to be handled as per the solid waste management rules and whatever the local prevailing urban bodies have done prior. But there may or there may not be any biomedical waste that is generated at quarantine centers. There, if at all it is there, it would be of minimal quantity, and that too if the patient is not the patient, the suspected person who has been exposed is also suffering from any other chronic comorbidities, then you may have biomedical waste that is generated in these areas. If that being the case, then the urban local bodies will also have to make arrangement for where this waste has to be dropped off. You need to designate a center, or a designated person will collect it at the door, either by the CBWTF person or a designated person, and have a point of collection. So this has to be done at the quarantine centers. They need to liaise with the urban local bodies, and the urban local bodies also should have a list of all the quarantine centers that are there in that particular area. In case the persons running the quarantine centers have any difficulty either with regard to general waste or with regard to biomedical waste, they need to report to the urban local bodies to set things so that smooth movement of waste can happen. Okay, what does the common treatment facility person have to do? They need to report that they have started receiving common COVID-19 waste, and they have to ensure the safety of their workers by providing PPE and also adequate sanitation measures at the facility, at the common treatment facility. They need to have a dedicated vehicle, and this vehicle needs to be sanitized after every trip. So whenever the waste is being handed over to the common treatment facility person, it is labeled as COVID-19 waste. So therefore, that particular waste they get the highest priority, and it shall be disposed of immediately or as soon as possible. Since the quantum of waste that is generated might be more, they may have to work for extra hours, and they need to protect their workers. If any of the workers are showing any symptoms of illness, they may be provided leave protecting their salary. This is what the guideline says, and CBWTF also should need to have a record of whatever COVID waste that is generated. And what does the State Pollution Control Board do? They will also maintain the records. They will ensure that this is smoothly operated. They'll allow the CBWTF to work for extra hours, and they may not insist any authorization for quarantine facilities. They need to coordinate with the urban local bodies to establish adequate collection and disposal of COVID-19 waste. And there might be issues where there are no place, where there is no common treatment facility area that is situated nearby. In that being the case, the State Pollution Control Boards need to identify a hospital or a facility which has these, which has facilities or technology where waste can be treated and disposed as per the provisions under Biomedical Waste Management Rules 2016. And in case the quantum of waste, that is incinerable waste, that increases, which cannot be handled by the CBWTF, the toxic waste facility can also pitch in and incinerate, but they need to create a separate arrangement for collection and waste feeding. Now, what does the urban local body do? They need to have a list of quarantine facilities which needs to be communicated, and they need to provide yellow bags for collection of biomedical waste at the quarantine centers. They need to train a separate team of workers who will be collecting waste, even the general waste also, which is generated at the quarantine centers, need to be collected, and even the biomedical waste which is generated at the quarantine centers also need to be collected. They need to have a separate team of workers, and these team of workers have to be trained in terms of what precautions need to be taken while they're handling this kind of waste provided, and they also provide necessary personal protective equipment in terms of masks, splash-proof gowns or aprons, gloves, gumboots, and safety goggles. They need to have a dedicated vehicles, and these need to be disinfected with 1% hypochlorite after each trip, and also all other sanitation measures to be taken. The people handling the common biomedical waste at the common biomedical waste treatment facility or at the hospital are aware of these practices to a certain extent, but those at the quarantine centers may not be aware of all these practices. They need to be specifically trained for these use of PPE and also the protective measures that needs to be taken or precautions that need to be taken. So these, anyhow, the waste collection, both general solid waste collection as well as common biomedical waste treatment collection does come under the essential services. So they are exempt and they can provide the services without any hindrances. Thank you for a patient hearing. We'll now move on to Dr. Nandakumar, who would be handling the collection, the segregation practices, transportation, and temporary storage in a hospital setting. Dr. Nanda.
So moving on to the next session, Dr. Suman ಅವರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದಾಗ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ನೀವು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರಿ. Chat ಅಲ್ಲಿ we were able to see like double liner ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ why we need to have a particular category of waste to be put into that ಅಂತ. So ಈ ಸೆಷನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನ 5 ರಿಂದ 10 ನಿಮಿಷದಲ್ಲಿ we are going to address some of those issues, and ಅದಾದ ನಂತರವೂ ನಿಮಗೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಡೌಟ್ ಅಥವಾ ಏನಾನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ 1-to-1 we will resolve it. So please send in your questions, we are monitoring it. ಆ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನ once we finish the sessions we'll be able to answer. So biomedical waste ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಇಷ್ಟೊಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಲೈಕ್ ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸೆಷನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿನೆಂಟ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ. ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಒನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಬಯೋಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್. ಈ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ಡ್, ವಾಟ್ ರಿಮೈನ್ಸ್ ಸೇಮ್, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಸೆಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಪ್ಲಾನ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋದು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಅನ್ಕೊಂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ COVID-19 is a different situation. It is an emergency situation. It is a war zone. So all practices that we have been doing remains suspended or cancelled. That is not the issue here, because biomedical waste still has the same categories. There are certain things which we have to do the way we were supposed to do. In addition to that, CPCB ಅವರು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೋ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಇವಾಗ ಆಡ್ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ we'll be telling you, and why we need to take certain extra precautions which otherwise we were doing it in a different way. ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೂಡ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಎಕ್ವಿಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಅಥವಾ ಡಬಲ್ ಲೈನರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದೀವೋ, ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಲೊಕೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಈಗ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. Why is it an important issue? As you told, risk ಬರೀ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಕೇರ್ ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ಗೂ if we don't handle the biomedical waste appropriately in the prescribed manner, it will affect us as doctors, as healthcare providers. ಆ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದಾಗಿ ಇದನ್ನ ಬರೀ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಕೇರ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, it is the entire ecosystem including that of the environment. We have to address it in a right manner. So what we need to do, it is an issue of occupational safety, environmental safety, attitudinal issue. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಸಲ ನಾವ್ ಏನ್ ಅನ್ಕೊಂತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾದಾಗ ಇವುಗಳೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕಿದ್ರು ಅಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕಬಹುದು ಕಸ ಅನ್ನೋ ಆ ಒಂದು ಆಟಿಟ್ಯೂಡ್ ನ ನಾವು ಬದಲಾಯಿಸ್ಕೊಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. Because the very next day you are going back to the same workplace and you can get affected by either your or your colleagues whatever mistake. So please ensure that you take it very seriously and adhere to what is required. So as I told earlier, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ನಿಗದಿತ ಸ್ಥಳಗಳಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಐಸೋಲೇಷನ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಇರಬಹುದು, ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್, ಕ್ರಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಕೇರ್ ಯೂನಿಟ್ಸ್, ICU ಇರಬಹುದು. ಈ ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಟ್ ನೀಡ್ಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಡನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಕಲರ್ ಕೋಡೆಡ್ ಬಿನ್ಸ್. ನಾವು ಬಯೋಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು 4 ಕಲರ್ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ವು, ಯೆಲ್ಲೋ, ರೆಡ್, ಬ್ಲೂ ಮತ್ತೆ ವೈಟ್, ದಟ್ ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ಸ್ ಗುಡ್. ಸೊ ಈ ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಕಲರ್ ಕೋಡೆಡ್ ಬಿನ್ಸ್ ನ ಪ್ರತ್ಯೇಕವಾಗಿ ಆ ಜಾಗಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಒದಗಿಸಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಎರಡನೇದು ದ ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ವು, ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಅಟ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ still holds good. Just because it is an emergency, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಗುಡ್ಡೆ ಹಾಕ್ತಿವಿ, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ವಿಂಗಡಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಮನೋಭಾವದಲ್ಲಿರಬೇಡಿ. ಸೆಗ್ರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಅಟ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾಪನ್. ಫುಟ್ ಆಪರೇಟೆಡ್ ಬಿನ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಲಿಡ್ ಓಪನ್ ಆಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ಬೆಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಬಿನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾವ್, so that ಕೈಯಿನಿಂದ ಅದನ್ನ ಮುಟ್ಟೋ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಯೂಸಿಂಗ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫುಟ್ ಟು ಓಪನ್ ಇಟ್. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ತೋರಿಸಿದಾಗ ಯು ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಸಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಬಲ್ ಲೈನರ್. ಲೈನರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಚೀಲ ಏನು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತೀವೋ ಅದನ್ನ 2 ಕವರ್ನ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದು ಕಾಮನ್ ಸೆನ್ಸ್. ಹಾಲ್ ತರಬೇಕಾದಾಗ ತೂಕ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆದ್ರೆ ವಿ ಪುಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಇನ್ 2 ಕವರ್ಸ್. ಆ ತರ ಒಂದು ತೂಕ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು, ಎರಡನೇದು ಟು ಎನ್ಶೂರ್ ದಟ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಲೀಕ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಹಜಾರ್ಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕವರ್ ಬ್ರೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದ ಇನ್ನರ್ ಕಂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ಪಿಲ್ಡ್. ವಿ ಆರ್ ಎನ್ಶೂರಿಂಗ್ ದಟ್ ಡಬಲ್ ಲೈನರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಡಬಲ್ ಕವರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಯೂಸ್ಡ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಕವರ್ಗಳಾಗ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಲೈನರ್ಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎಸೆನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಆಸ್ ಪರ್ ದ ಗೈಡ್ಲೈನ್ಸ್ to have a sticker, or you can write it in marker pens that it is COVID-19 waste. ಇದರಿಂದ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಾಮನ್ ಬಯೋ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೂ ಇದು ಕೋವಿಡ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್. ಅದನ್ನ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತ ಡಿಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇಮ್ಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಫೈನಲ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪೋಸಲ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ದೆಮ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಮೋರ್ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲಿ. The next thing is the trolleys that will be used, because ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಲೈಕ್ ನಾವು ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಎಕ್ವಿಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಗಳನ್ನ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸೋ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳಿವೆ. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಸರ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಾ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತಾ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಸ್, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ PPE that are going to be used during the course of screening, treatment and patient care will be certainly high. So in that context, though it is desirable, ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಅದನ್ನ ಲೈಕ್ ವಿಲೇವಾರಿ or we had to distribute it to the common treatment facility, but in case it has to be moved from the isolation ward or ICU, you ensure that there is a separate trolley for this. Please don't try to mix it or place it in a common area or a common room, because it will cause problem. ಮತ್ತೆ ಡೆಡಿಕೇಟೆಡ್ ಸ್ಪೇಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ವಿ, ಟೆಂಪರರಿ ಸ್ಟೋರೇಜ್ ಏರಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರತ್ಯೇಕವಾದಂತ ಜಾಗ. ಐಡಿಯಲಿ ದೇರ್ ಶುಡ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಎನಿ ಸ್ಟೋರೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್. ದ ಮೊಮೆಂಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಜನರೇಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಟ್, ದ ಫ್ರೀಕ್ವೆನ್ಸಿ ಆಫ್ ಕಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಬೆಟರ್. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಇಫ್ ದ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಮೋರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಸ್ಟಿಲ್ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಇಟ್, ensure that there is a separate space for it. And as I told, it is preferred that the waste from isolation and ICU and other wards are shifted directly to the common biotreatment vehicle. Idu alladene the segregation rules ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದೀವಿ, all recyclables ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಇರಬಹುದು ಅಥವಾ ಈ materials which can be recyclable are to be put into red category. ಕೆಂಪು ಬಣ್ಣದ ಡಬ್ಬಗಳು ಏನಿರುತ್ತೋ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ we have to put. All that can be burned, plastic ಅಲ್ಲದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಸ್ತುಗಳು which can be incinerated ಅಥವಾ burned should be in yellow, ಜ್ವಾಲೆ, yellow color ಇದಕ್ಕೆ we have to put there. ಮತ್ತೆ sharps, whatever the needles and other things have to go into the white, translucent, puncture proof, leak proof containers, and blue for glass waste. So glass ಮತ್ತು metallic objects ಏನಿರುತ್ತೋ, so as you are seeing, the categories have not changed, they are the same categories. If the PPE is not plastic, then they go into the yellow bin. So what are the things which goes there? ನಾವು ಶೂ ಕವರ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತೀವಿ, ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಎಕ್ವಿಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡಿದಾಗ you will be realizing that 90% of the PPE or that equipment is incinerable and it has to go into the yellow bin. Those which are plastic, which are need to be sort of recycled, goes into the red bin. Id alladene, you are having people who are handling this biomedical waste should be given complete personal protective equipment. So the PPE that is given to your waste handler is important. Ensure that cap, mask, matte full glove, matte face shield, ella equipment enideyo avagalunna we will be required to provide them. Adada nantara separate ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ, ಸಪರೇಟ್ ಕಲರ್ ಕೋಡಿಂಗ್ ಬಿನ್ಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಸ್ತುನ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಓವರ್, ಎನ್ಶೂರ್ ದಟ್ ಯು ಯೂಸ್ 1% ಸೋಡಿಯಂ ಹೈಪೋಕ್ಲೋರೈಡ್ ಸೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಇಂದ ಅದನ್ನ ಡಿಸ್ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅದಾದ ನಂತರ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಓವರ್. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾಮನ್ ಬಯೋ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಫೆಸಿಲಿಟಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆನೂ ಮಾತಾಡಿದಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಪ್ರತ್ಯೇಕವಾದಂತಹ ವಾಹನ ಮತ್ತೆ driver and the person who collects it should also wear the PPE. N95 mask irbodu athwa protective gear ಏನಿರುತ್ತೋ ಅದನ್ನ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸಿ they will be required to do it. ಮತ್ತೆ ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂತ ಸ್ಪಿಲ್ ಅಥವಾ ಏನನ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಬಿದ್ದ ಪಕ್ಷದಲ್ಲಿ the spill management protocol ಅಂತ ಏನಿದೆಯೋ that remains same. So you will be required to use the same practices of 2016ನೇ ಬಯೋಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಏನಿತ್ತು ಅದೇ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಾವು ಅದನ್ನ ಪಾಲಿಸಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಟು ಸಮ್ಮರೈಸ್, ದ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬೀನ್ ಚೇಂಜ್ಡ್ ಡ್ರಾಸ್ಟಿಕಲಿ, ಓನ್ಲಿ ಅ ಫ್ಯೂ ಅಡಿಷನ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಬೀನ್ ಮೇಡ್. ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕಲಿ ಡಬಲ್ ಲೈನಿಂಗ್ ಈಸ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಎನ್ಶೂರ್ಡ್ and PPE has to be disposed in a proper manner, and use of PPE for all activities pertaining to biomedical waste is essential. And also you should ensure that the waste that is collected by the biomedical waste activities of treating COVID patients should be exclusively and separately handled and handed over for final disposal. So I'll stop here. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ಏನನ್ನ ಇದ್ರೆ ಚಾಟ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಕಳಿಸಿ. Before ending the session, we will handle it and take it further. Thank you. So the next speaker will be Dr. Shalini Pradeep, Professor, Community Medicine, Ramaiah Medical College. Avaru nimge personal protective equipment ಬಗ್ಗೆ, occupational safety ಬಗ್ಗೆ she'll be. Yes.
Good afternoon, all of you. Now with COVID-19 and the hazards or the problem that we are facing, we need to be with our occupation, we need to be safe. So I would like to start off with 3 messages. That is hand washing, which is required for at least 20 seconds for 3 to 4 times per day, or in between seeing 2 patients. There should be a social distancing, especially in the OPD when the doctor sees the patient. Should see that only the patient enters into the OPD and not the attendants. Okay, and during the OPD procedures, use of mask is mandatory for all of us. So these are the different personal protective equipments that we need to use, where and when. I will tell you in the next slide. Okay. In low risk areas, triple layered medical mask, sometimes gloves may be required. Moderate risk areas, we need the N95 mask along with the gloves. In high risk areas, we need the full complement of PPE, which includes the goggles, the face shield, the mask, gloves, coverall or gowns with or without apron, head cover and shoe cover. Okay, when a person comes first to the hospital, that is at the point of entry of the person or the patient into the hospital, he first goes to the help desk to find out where he has to go, which department he has to go to. So that is where the help desk is. That is a moderate risk area. Then next, we have to send him to the fever clinic or to the triage area to find out whether he has any, whether he is a suspect, whether he has any symptoms of COVID-19. So that also becomes a moderate risk area. After that, he goes into the OPD for the clinical management. Clinical management requires all the N95 mask and the gloves, that is moderate risk area. So once he is admitted into the hospital, it could be either an individual room or four patients in one room or a cohort room, which we usually say. So that also becomes a moderate risk area. A caretaker is required along with him. So if the caretaker is there with the admitted patient, he belongs to the low risk. That means he can only use the mask. Emergency care. Sometimes patients may be admitted with emergency care. They may go directly to the emergency. So such patients, they are in a moderate risk. Those with severe acute respiratory infection. Now, all of us know about this term, which is very commonly used now with COVID-19 is SARI. The other term which is used is the influenza-like illness, ILI. So it is high risk. Those who are admitted to the ICU or critical care, it is also a high risk. So they need to use the full protective equipments. Next, once a person is admitted into the hospital, lab tests are done. So the sample testing, sample collection and transportation by the lab technician. So it is a high risk incident. So he needs to use the full protective equipments. Once the patient is admitted, his linen will go into the CSSD and the laundry. There it is medium risk. Sanitation, that is the sanitation workers who are going to clean up the place. Also, it is moderate risk. So the appropriate PPE has to be worn. In case the person needs to be referred to another hospital for a higher referral services for higher or better treatment facilities, then in such cases, the ambulance is required, in which the ambulance driver who is sitting in the front, he is in the low risk category. So only the low risk PPE should be used. Then when we are transporting patients in the ambulance, who don't require any assisted ventilation, it is medium risk. SARI patients, while transporting, it is high risk. So the people who are going into that van should wear all the complete PPE. This is within the hospital setting. What about health workers in the community setting? As we all know, the health workers are going into the community for contact tracing. So we have the ASHA workers. So they are in the low risk category. The low risk attire should be used. The doctors who are there on surveillance in the community setting, they may need to do more than just recording the temperature. They may have to speak with the patient and do something more than that. So they need the moderate risk attire. If at all a person is dead, he lands up in the mortuary, then the dead body handling is a moderate risk. But while performing autopsy, it is a high risk, so the complete attire has to be worn. Coming to the quarantine facility, the person who is quarantined, the support staff or the designated family member and the healthcare staff who are just recording their daily vitals they have to use the low risk PPE, whereas the doctor who is going to treat them, who is going to support their clinical management, need the moderate risk attire. So what about waste handlers? Waste handlers, if it is a collection in the ward, they need to use the full PPE. That is, they belong to the high risk PPE, high risk category, where you have to use a complete PPE. If the waste is, the bins are kept outside the ward, then it is not necessary they have to wear the complete PPE. So it is only required that, as usual, what they are doing for the transportation of the waste during non-COVID situations can be used. So these are the different situations for doctors and nurses working in the hospitals and the different areas where they are working, to see that all the attires as appropriate is worn by them. I repeat again, for the low risk, it is triple layered medical mask. Gloves may be needed in some instances. For the moderate risk, it is N95 mask with gloves. For the high risk, it is full complement of PPE, which all of us are very familiar with day in and day out, which we are watching every day on the TV, on the media. Thank you.
We now move on to another area, that is what will happen to the waste after it is being after it is being collected at the hospital or at the quarantine centers. So where does this all go, and how is it managed at the common biomedical waste treatment facility? We have with us Ms. Vinisha, who will be sharing with us her experience. She is from the International Institute of Waste Management, Director. She will be sharing with us what happens at the Common Biomedical Waste Management Facility. Over to you, Vinisha.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
You're able to hear me? Am I audible?
You're audible to us. I would like the other participants to raise their hands if she is audible. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Vinisha, please go ahead.
thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm sure that most of you have actually been exposed to the CPCB guidelines. I think Dr. Suman has already given you a few tips on the guidelines, or at least what is available in the guidelines, right? Dr. Suman? Hello.
Be muted so that we can avoid the other noise. Yes, I have given them the guidelines.
Okay. Right. So what I will do is my presentation I have divided into two types. One is for the hospital waste and the other one is from the quarantine facilities. So both these go to the common biomedical waste treatment facility. Now, as far as Karnataka is concerned, we have 26 biomedical waste, common biomedical waste facilities, which can handle almost about 600 tons per day. This is the capacity which is available. There are almost all the districts are covered. Each one has one facility, except that a few like Tumkur and Bangalore are put together. And I think Chikmagalur does not have a facility on its own, but that is going to Shimoga. So that way, if you actually look at Karnataka is very well equipped and it can handle, currently if you look at it, it can definitely handle COVID waste and also with the projection of the number of patients, that also somehow we will be able to manage unless it goes completely out of control. But even for that emergency, we do have a facility. Currently, we are actually lucky because there is a hazardous waste common facility in Karnataka, that is in Bangalore, which can handle 25 tons per day, which means with all these facilities, we are definitely equipped. And if you actually look at it, Karnataka, the population is it's similar to Italy. And if you look at the area-wise also, area-wise, Italy is 3 times larger than Karnataka. However, for us, this is also in terms of transportation, a better thing because with this smaller area, we are able to transport everything to Karnataka in case if there is an emergency requirement. So even if we face a situation like Italy, which would be the maximum, we still will be able to cater to all the biomedical waste facility when there is a situation like that. So that is something positive thing in terms of waste management. Now, currently due to lockdown, what we have seen is that 50% of biomedical waste is reduced in these common facility. Now that again, all of you know, because all the OPDs are closed in most of the hospitals, and we also don't have many of the clinics which are also not operating. So which means we are running under capacity in all these facilities. So this is something which is heartening. And next, if you look at it, what kind of waste segregation? This has already been told to you, I think, but I would just reiterate. As far as COVID situation is concerned, this is the guidelines which has been given, and the SOP also has this. So segregation as far as possible should be done, and we still maintain this as the 4 category currently. Now, this is how a biomedical waste facility with COVID during this time, that is how they have modified the collection system, because these are separate vans and they are not collecting the other waste along with this. So at least some of it, like Bangalore and all that, whoever is handling the COVID waste, they are having this kind of a facility which has been added. And if you look at the people also, the driver has this kind of PPE which he is wearing, and the other person who's actually going and collecting has a full PPE. Now this is being done because there are possibilities, and it is also a good practice. And so far, these are the 2 different types of PPEs which are available, which is being used by the common biomedical waste facility owners. That is what they have given. But Of course, this is extremely expensive for them because earlier they were saying it's about 20,000 per month, which they were spending on the PPEs, but now they are spending almost about 2.5 lakhs because even these PPEs also have become expensive. But that's a different question. Now, what are the SOPs for common biomedical waste facility? What I have taken here are the ones which are connected to the hospital staff, the healthcare waste, I mean, the healthcare workers of the hospitals who have to know about it. So first of all, before they start, like once you have the COVID, once you're dealing with the COVID patients, then what happens is, if you are, whoever is your common biomedical waste facility provider, they have to come and inspect your facility. Now, this holds good also for the ones who are in the quarantine centers. So they will have to come and make an inspection report. This is very important because they have to look at where is the storage facility, what is the kind of parking facility, what is the provision for running water, whether there is a provision for running water with soap and sanitizer, provision for the wash water or the effluent to be drained off, and whether the areas are well ventilated. So all these things, and if it is not there, then there is again certain other SOPs, which I am not going to go into detail, but at least when you are making provision for a facility where they will come and collect it, you need to also keep all this in mind. So that is the reason why I have brought it here. The next one is about the reporting format. There is a format which has already been given, but mandatorily you will also have to make sure that the quantity of waste in the log sheet is entered, the type of waste, which means in these 4 categories, then the date and time is very, very important, and the signature of the responsible person. I hope there is a person like that, which usually will be the nursing superintendent or the nursing staff in charge at that time. So they have to sign it. This is again mandatory. And then the manifest control, you need to know about it, because if there is a question there, in case if somebody goes and dumps it somewhere, and if there is a legal issue, then you need to know that there is a manifest control. So whoever is signing is responsible. Next. Sorry. Can you, yeah. This is for the municipal solid waste at the, with COVID positive, that is in the quarantine centers. Here again, what has to be done is there is a clear classification saying that all the waste that is generated from these quarantine centers are also considered as infectious biomedical waste facility, I mean biomedical waste. The reason why this is done is, otherwise these were classified, or they were coming under the municipal solid waste management. That's under the solid waste management rules. So this rule now supersedes, that is the biomedical waste rule supersedes that rule. So that is the reason, I mean, I've made this very clear so that you know the legality of it. And then the management should comply with all the regulations as per the biomedical waste rules. And no source segregation is mandated here, because all that is coming out from these households should be as per those 4 guidelines, and especially the infectious waste should be under the yellow category. Waste collection bag should be again kept. Now, all the other things like where it should be kept and inspection by these people, all that is also the same. Next, yeah, the next one is how do they tie the bags? That is again important. This again, the staff in the hospital has to have a look at it, because the bags have to be tied with string or with an adhesive tape. And you should know, nobody, even in the waste retrievers within the facility or outside, should not press the bags because even if it is double layered, sometimes if you are unsure that maybe some things might pop out or it's leaking, then you have to put additional bags. That is also a good practice. Yeah, the rest of the things for the quarantine is also the same. However, how it is being transported and where it goes, because all these will be the quarantine waste will go to the biomedical waste facility. Whereas if there are certain recyclables, then these are kept aside for some more time, because they don't want to really choke the waste facility. So that is kept aside, and then that is considered like recyclables at any other time, and then it is taken care of at a later stage. So, and if it is non-contaminated, if they are very sure it is non-contaminated, then the cardboard cartons or glass and bottles are kept aside as recyclables. But currently, only after the COVID situation is over, the recycling facilities will start. So until then, it has to be stored. So this is how. Yeah, I think that is it. In case there are any questions, I would like to.
There are a few questions asking about where does the vacutainer go? Yeah. Wherever you're doing, I think earlier wherever you would be disposing the vacutainer, it's the same thing. It needs to be autoclaved. And one practice which was earlier done, but now it is no longer being done, was disinfection of the sharps and the blue container with 1% sodium hypochlorite. Earlier, we had the practice of disinfecting most of the waste with sodium hypochlorite and then sending it across. But we had stopped it with the biomedical waste management rules of 2016, which did not advocate any such kind of thing. But in this present scenario, maybe it is good for us to restart that practice just to ensure safety. There might be some amount of controversies or people may not agree. I would leave the choice to you people, the person who's actually doing it. Minimum handling of the waste is the best option what we have. The waste that is there in the red and the blue can be autoclaved or microwaved if your facility has got any microwave facilities. Other option is microwaving also can be done before being handed over to the common treatment facility person. It is just to see that the person who's handling or transporting the waste from the common biomedical treatment facility is also protected and it doesn't spread from. There was another question in terms of yellow waste being, now we have the question answer session. You can ask us. We would have the panelists along with the resource persons. We have Dr. Raju and Dr. Prithvish also, who would be joining us on the panel to take up your questions and answers. Dr. Prithvish and Dr. Prithvish?
Yeah.
Yes. So you're online with us?
Yeah, I'm in line with. Good afternoon, all of you.
Good afternoon, sir. I would also like to add Raju sir here. Dr. Raju. And Dr. Lalita here, the HOD of the Department of Community Medicine, will also be on the panel to share admin. Video. Raju sir, Dr. Raju.
Yeah.
Are you with us, sir? Yes. So you can turn on the video. So the question is for Dr. Prithvish. Any specific tips you would like to give for the nurses and doctors in this present scenarios?
Yeah. You mean to say any tips for the doctors? Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Actually, tips-wise, I would say this today's session has been very comprehensive, and all of you have tried to cover all the areas. The tips will be the 9 points I myself learned in this session. The first point is, you are all doctors, nurses, stay safe. That is the first tip. Second, PPE, 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 a must. Number 3, healthcare waste management, whatever you are doing, the same thing to be followed, except yellow bag separate for quarantine centers, for household quarantine, double layered covers, liners, dedicated space for the storage, dedicated trolley, dedicated transportation. More than all this, I consider that COVID has provided an excellent opportunity for us to revisit, redo training in our setup, do some mistakes, ask, discuss, record, but provide leadership. And last point I would like to say, Dr. Suman, please share with all of us the link of our website of Ramaiah Medical College, where all these things which you were told has come up. I would say the same thing what we follow as usual. The same thing needs to be followed with a little extra care. That's it I want to tell.
Thank you, sir. Once we have the final version, the edited version, we will be sharing the link of the video with everybody. For the present,
but what I meant was the link of the UNIDO project website.
Yes, sir.
Where they can get the other video as well as all the materials.
Yes, sir.
Especially the SOPs and training manuals for doctors, nurses, waste handlers. That link, if you share, in general, it will be useful to all who are participating here.
Yes, sir. Raju, sir.
Yes.
Raju, sir. Dr. Raju is a state technical advisor under the UNIDO project for the state of Karnataka. This project looks at environmentally sound management of biomedical waste in 5 states in a pilot mode. So the question to you is, are N95 mask mandatory for all BMW handlers, or 3-layered mask is sufficient? This is from Shankara Cancer Hospital. Are you able to hear us, sir? Hello? Yes, sir. Sir, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ನೀವು ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. Sir, you need to unmute your mic.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon to all of you. First of all, I congratulate the faculty from Ramaiah. Has taken all the pain to prepare a good presentation compared to the last week presentation. You have definitely done exceedingly good job this time. And I don't think after listening to this presentation from all of you, there needs to be any queries and doubts to remain. But still, if there are any questions, I really would like to answer. Before that, you asked me one question like, is N95 mask is mandatory to biomedical waste handlers?
Yes, sir.
That you mean to say at the hospital scenario, or you are talking about the people working in the
hospital scenarios? No. You can give both the scenarios, sir. You can be at the hospital as well as those who are collecting.
Yes. In hospital scenario, as already Dr. Shalini has made it very clear, she has made wonderfully that is low risk, moderate risk, and high risk, and that is quite enough. People are working there in the different area, they can follow it. But I recommend N95 mask is very useful for the people who are working in a COVID isolation ward. So 3-layered mask is not advisable there for COVID isolation ward. And as far as the waste handlers concerned working in these common treatment facilities, I feel and I recommend N95 mask is a must for them in the interest of preventing infection, because we are aware that this is a very serious infection. Still, we are not aware that what are the modes of spread even now. They're different things in different days. But still, to protect ourselves, protect the health of the waste handlers, I recommend N95 is a must for people working in common treatment facilities.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There's another question. Sir, do biomedical waste handlers, should they get a prophylaxis of hydroxychloroquine, HCQ?
I don't think it is required actually.
Okay. Okay, so there's another one. How do we treat general waste segregated from an isolation room?
General waste segregated from isolation ward.
Isolation ward.
Yeah, COVID-19
COVID isolation ward.
Yes. Again, as we discussed last time, there is a gray area here also. We cannot take it for granted. General waste is not infectious. We have to, for the time being, till the situation is overcome, we have to treat this waste as infectious waste only, and that should go along with the infectious waste only. Better not to take any risk from the isolation.
We agree with you on that. Even the CPCB guidelines also tell the same thing for quarantine places. In such cases,
the CPCB guidelines says actually general waste has to go as solid waste. But in the current scenario, especially in isolation ward and isolation ICU, what Manju sir was talking of, it's better we consider as infectious waste, and based on the type of material, you decide whether it goes to yellow or red. For example, it's a food waste, please let it go to yellow. If it's a plastic bottles, water bottles they are using, I heard, and plastic plates or something like that, it should go into red. So we can follow this principle based on the material to go decide to go with in the isolation ward. But in the rest of the hospital, it can be the previous principle of solid waste.
To add and to Lalita's talk, there should not be any confusion here. There are two things here. COVID-19 ward should be taken definitely as an infectious ward. Yes. But quarantine ward is not certainly an infection ward, but we are just waiting them to give the symptoms or signs. But it is a must from the waste generated from the COVID-19 isolation ward, even if it is a general waste, should be treated as infectious waste.
To add on to your question, sir, for quarantine ward means actually now the primary contacts are already in the institution, in the hotels or some of the buildings. They are already taken measures that all the waste generated there is going into yellow, and the CBWP of people are collecting the waste from there. Only the waste collected at the home isolation is still pending. That is not really addressed as of now.
Yeah, there is a long way to go because there is a inter-coordination between BBMP, CTF, and separate waste collection people.
Yeah.
That has to be
still a gray area which needs to be addressed.
Goggles.
Okay, there is a question on where should we dispose the goggles. It is the Vinisha can answer this.
Vinisha.
To be recycled, so it is blue.
No. Vinisha, goggles. Plastic.
Goggles to be disposed.
Yeah.
Which have to be, okay. If it is not being recycled, because many of the goggles are being recycled currently. So that goes for disinfection and then reusing. But however, the other, if it is broken or if it has to be discarded,
Red.
Red.
Yeah. Okay. Just to reiterate what Vinisha was telling, if it is disposable, dispose it in red because it's most of the time fiber or plastic. If it is not, if it is to be reused, it has to be followed as the protocol of disinfection of the hospital and then reuse properly. Sterilize and use it properly. It's all disposable, it is going into red.
Correct. In fact, there is also one more notification which has come from WHO and also from our Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, where the masks also can be reused, because there are certain places there are shortages. See, Bangalore it is available, but there are places like Belgaum and Gulbarga where there is still a shortage of masks. So there is this 4-day cycle which is being followed. This is not, I mean, including the N95 masks. So they keep it in, I think that was already discussed, or?
No, you can tell that.
Because there is a guidelines which anybody can download from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare website. Very clearly, there is this 4-day cycle wherein you need to keep your mask in a plastic cover or separately labeled and in a separate place where others cannot touch it, in your own cupboard, and until it dries. So for 4 days it is kept, and then on the 4th day you can reuse the number 1. So each one label it as 1, 2, 3, 4, and the first one, after you use it today, keep it for 4 days, and then you can use it on the 4th day. But the 2nd day when you're using, that's a fresh one, you number it as 2, and that would be used on the 5th day. And number 3, which is the fresh one, will be, so subsequently like that you can use. So minimum 4 should be given to each person.
Vinisha, there's another one.
Yeah.
They say how to dispose of mask used by the general public. If the general public are not using the cloth mask and they're using the 3-layered mask, is there a mechanism how that can be disposed?
In fact, what is being advocated, even if anybody asks, it should be a rule that people make their own mask with cloth from home. This is also one reason why Prime Minister also mentioned yesterday. Because for ordinary people, let us use our own mask. Let's not buy it from the market, so that it is left for the people who are from the healthcare sector. So this has to be propagated. However, if there are people who are using it, then they have to separately keep it in a yellow color bag, waste bag, tie it in such a way that it should not be handled by the waste retrievers at home. See, now today also I saw near my house, the ones who are coming for picking the waste, he does not have gloves. He is just using one ordinary cloth and tying it. This is the situation today in Bangalore, and that too in a okay kind of an area. It's not very posh, but still it is a manageable kind of an area. So if the situation is like that in such places, you can imagine the other areas. So what is necessary is, even if you don't get yellow color plastic covers, please make sure that every household uses the masks which are discarded, put it in a plastic cover, tie it, seal it, and then give it. Like how you give your sanitary napkins and other waste, toxic waste, consider it like that and give it.
Right. Thank you, Vinisha. Next. Questions are regarding safe disposal. How many hours can we wear a mask?
Direct questions. Yeah. Who have raised hands.
Yeah, and
we'll take some direct questions from those who have raised their hands.
Yes. Dr. Deepashri.
Yeah. Dr. Deepashri,
do you have a question? Yes, anybody who would like to ask any questions, please raise your hands So we can take them directly.
Akhil Kumar.
Akhil Kumar.
Mistake. They have raised their hands by mistake.
Okay, this Lakshmi is here. Is it? No.
No, that is what they have.
No problem. We'll take up the questions from the chat.
There is one question on how long a mask can be worn.
Yeah.
I think there is no clarity, but still one day I think one mask can be worn.
Yeah.
Till it gets soiled and it gets soft.
The mask is for one day, and that too, especially if it is not soiled and so it has to be disposed. N95 mask cannot be used if it is soft or soaked. And mute will answer the questions. Please type the questions in the chat. We'll ask. Life cycle is usually 6 to 8 hours. After, if it soaks, you can dispose it earlier. And there is question like general waste like water bottles, etc. used in isolation model is need to be added over to CBWTF or BBMP. Well, this is the question we answered. It is difficult to discriminate whether it is infectious or not. If you are very sure it is not infectious, definitely it can go to general waste. If it is not so, consider as infectious waste and put it into red colored bin. And next question. Rubber gloves, recyclable and non-recyclable, is there any difference? Gloves which are disposable will go into red. Heavy duty rubber gloves which probably the wasters are using should be disinfected and then reused. With 1% sodium hypochlorite, we can disinfect for at least an half an hour and then wash it with detergent, dry and then reuse it.
The wearing of PPE, somebody want to make a video.
Which one?
Wearing of PPE.
There's a question on dilution of hypochlorite solution. It has to be freshly prepared, 1% sodium hypochlorite solution. Please look into the manufacturer's guidelines as what is the availability of the available chlorine. Based on that, we need to do the dilution to see that you get the 1% sodium hypochlorite.
Which one is a good mask for working in the hospital?
There's a question on which one is good mask for working in hospital. It is not the good or bad. It depends on which type of risk you are exposed, and based on that, we need to decide which mask you are wearing. Those who are working in COVID ward or COVID isolation ICUs, they are to wear N95 mask. Then I think we had Dr. Shalini had presented that slide. Triple layer mask can be used in the low risk areas, and for the others, general public, cloth mask is good enough. Sample collection and routine testing of suspected COVID-19 cases should be a separate setup or can be done on a regular basis. I don't think there is separate testing as of now it's required, but the one who is collecting will be anyway in the PPE in the ward, full PPE, they have to wear the same thing. But in the lab, the processing should be with making all the necessary standard guidelines, precautions they have to take. Before we are very casual about handling any waste, now the scenario is going to change. We have to follow the standard precautions even in the lab for even your blood tests and other tests. And those who are where there is chance of aerosols coming up when you are doing any sampling, especially the streaking of cultures, they have to wear a N95 mask. How many times a cloth mask can be used and how to wash it? Okay, at home. Okay, this can be recycled. It's just that you wash it at the end of the day every day, or if it's soiled with hot water and soap and detergent, or sun dry it, and if you're possible, iron it and use it. So you are better to have two of them, one pair, so you can recycle it every day.
Do we need to autoclave yellow?
And whether we need to autoclave yellow colored waste before the I don't think yellow is as of now required to. If the rules doesn't say it has to be autoclave, it has to be double layered and hand it over to the biomedical waste for incineration. Common disinfection at home and ward and NSU. It's the 1% sodium hypochlorite is one of the cheapest available in the country, and it's also an effective disinfectant to be used. The other disinfectants which are recommended are many. Which are the ones which are used in the Lysol is good, but 1% sodium hypochlorite is the best option in the current context.
User wants to share some mask.
Food waste and used water, you have already answered. It has to be considered infectious. Sample collection site is iris. The sample testing area also iris area. It is an iris area. You have to take necessary precaution. Special precautions for recycling the reusable items. First is to have 1% sodium hypochlorite if it is not a metal, and then follow the whatever the infection control guidelines of your hospital says.
Can we sterilize? I doubt if we can sterilize N95.
I'm not sure of this sterilization. I don't think we are supposed to sterilize N95 mask and reuse as of right now.
So there are guidelines for reuse in there.
PPE recommendation for people who visit multiple hospitals to supply or collect equipments. This is as any general public. I don't think there is special. You may not require N95. It's just a low risk. It's a low risk area.
All biochemists.
Complete PPE is not required. Biochemists and pathologists. Procedure-wise, you may have to use the N95 mask and gloves.
Your view on that, please.
Okay, disinfection tunnel. I feel the virus is inside the human being. Outside the human being is not. I don't have an answer. The best practice is to have a hand washing with your disinfectant. I mean, soap and solution, soap and water, and disinfectant.
Patient used.
Okay, what about the patient used linen? Linen is infectious, so it has to be disinfected on site and then be laundried at temperature of 70 degrees centigrade without water wash. Anybody have?
Either PPE is non-absorbable. I have a confusion whether it goes to red or yellow bags, please.
Okay, since the PPE is non-absorbable, I have a confusion if it goes to red or yellow. Well, the thing is, if it's a plastic, we are proposing it to go into red because it may emit dioxins and furans if it enters the incineration. If it is an incinerable material, it can go into yellow.
Cloth mask, how many days before it runs?
Lab waste, as previous rules, all lab waste has to be autoclaved and then disposed of appropriately in the yellow or red. Any questions? You can raise that.
Anybody who has any questions, may please raise their hands.
Please raise your hands as well, so that we can unmute you.
We want to show the video.
Which one?
Learning and talking of PPE.
Okay, fixed needle syringe can be put directly into white container or should be cut then and put into container of COVID pit? No, it has to go into the white containers. As the practice remains the same, as Dr. Suman said, it is better you add 1% sodium hypochlorite as a better practice. It's the best practice, I could say.
You need to add this just when you're handing it over to the biomedical waste management treatment facility and not prior to it. And we all know that the white container, what we use is tamper-proof, puncture-proof, and leak-proof container. Please do not use any container through which the needles can come out.
Okay, needle burners is not recommended.
There is one routine clinical instruments as BP apparatus between. Yes, they have to be disinfected.
70% alcohol can be used.
70% alcohol can be used for disinfection of these clinical equipment. Madam, I think you.
It can be wiped with 70% alcohol. Even the stethoscope can be wiped with 70% alcohol. As far as possible, don't carry the stethoscope back home.
Leave everything at the house.
And if it is possible to have separate equipment for each of the patients, I know we are constrained when it comes to resources. If it is possible, we can have it. If not, if we are reusing it, then each time we reuse it, we'll have to disinfect and use it on the next patient.
unmute. There is a question to Dr. Prithvish.
He wants to add.
No.
Yes, sir. You wanted to add something.
Question for Director.
Okay.
Unmute. Sir, there is a question for you. What is it?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Well,
There's a question to you saying, is there any specific guidelines for dedicated cancer hospital like Sri Shankara Cancer Hospital?
yeah, I would like to specially reflect on two things. One about cancer hospital, second about mask also. I have a point. When it comes to cancer hospital, the same system of biomedical waste rules of 2016 will apply. Same systems will apply. But one extra precaution we have to take is regarding the chemotherapy material as well as radiological material. But the system of segregation, containment, transportation, final disposal remains the same, except attention to chemotherapeutic agents as well as attention to radiological materials. And there is one additional thing which they have to keep in mind. Dr. Kishore Murthy, especially, who comes from Shankar Cancer Hospital, there is some of the guidelines of BARC, Baba Atomic Research Center, will have to be consulted. There are very neatly designed guidelines for cancer, especially for radiological material. But general principles remain the same. Now, second thing I want to especially tell a point about masks. I'm sure respected Dr. Raju, Dr. Lalita will agree with me that all the participants today has given us a small lesson. Let us try to revisit the area of mask, because it is better that we develop a few best practice codes for this use of masks. One thing I wish to specially mention is, a couple of people mentioned about mask which is used at home. If we look at what Dr. Shalini Pradeep shared, especially, see, the N95 mask is for the COVID ward. And when it comes to 3-layered mask, it will be for the hospital. And when it comes to cloth mask will be for home, and that too, where we are going outside the home and coming back. If it is such mask, that can be washed with soap and water, soap, detergent and water. But we will develop some code of practice and also do some research into it when it comes to mask as soon as possible. Dr. Lalita, kindly take it up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. There's another question. Is fumigation required for isolation ward? Well, isolation ward, it is important to have surface disinfections, because they say the droplets are on the surface. You need to clean all the surfaces, your beds, floorings, everything. Maybe when the ward is completely empty also, it's important to disinfect all the surface, floor and ceilings also, they suggest. And fumigation is option, but fumigation is not recommended as of the guidelines what says is issued by the Government of India. After discharging the patient, COVID-19 positive ward, that is what I was talking about. It's all about surface disinfection. Completely disinfect the whole walls, all the railings, beds, remove the linens. The cords have to be surface disinfection with 1% sodium hypochlorite on both the sides, both pillows and the cords. Sun dried for at least 3 hours and then used. The beds, what I'm talking of, the linens and all will be on-site disinfection with 1% sodium hypochlorite, and then sent to the laundry wash for the hot water at 70 degrees centigrade, and then dried. And the person cleaning the whole ward has to again should be wearing the complete PPE and then taking all the hand washing practices and necessary precautions.
One more thing. There was another question on mopping. Do we use 1% sodium hypochlorite or 0.1% sodium?
It's all 1%.
It's all 1% sodium hypochlorite.
And I'd like to add on that it should be done twice a day. And for the critical areas where we are having the door knobs and all railings there, once in 4 hours it has to be.
The 3 bucket system.
And
With the 3 bucket system, yes.
The high touch areas like doorknobs, the lift buttons, and these places you need to do once in 4 hours. And depending on the material that is there, we need to use either 1% sodium hypochlorite or any other relevant disinfectant solution. 70% alcohol is also okay with it. 70%.
It's metal use. Dictum is if it's metal use, if it's not a metal, use 1% sodium hypochlorite. If it is any metal which gets affected by the sodium hypochlorite, use 70% alcohol based disinfectant.
I would say suspected COVID-19 would be treated as similar as COVID-19 waste itself.
Okay.
I think we are done with it. If there is any more questions, you can still write to us. Can we call it a day? Sir, any addition? Vinisha has one more thing to add.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. There was a question on disinfection chamber. Yesterday there was a decree from WHO which does not recommend it. In fact, it says that it does not help because they have also gone against people being sprayed with alcohol or with any disinfectant. So this is definitely a no-go. Because I've also heard in Orissa, the hospitals have installed these kind of disinfection chambers. So there are many people who are trying to sell it. Please do not buy this because it's out. The second thing is about, sorry?
I agree. This is because that gives a false assurance of the people and their
also. And because just the spray will not really help. There are lots of crevices and all that, and it can actually stay inside. Second thing is about N95 mask, because yesterday when there was a presentation in a different forum, there were people who were telling to be doubly sure, can we sterilize the N95 mask? Definitely no, because the way it is constructed, the way it is manufactured, if too much heat gets in, the whole thing goes for a toss. So you should not either soak it or you should not do anything with it. You can only dry it if it is not very, so, I mean, if there is no, if it's not soaked. So N95 mask will not be disinfected. Then the third thing, somebody asked about fumigation. Actually, even fumigation is necessary only if there is if the contaminants stick to the higher walls and also the ceiling. But the COVID-19 is proven that it will only settle down. So everything which is, because it's heavier. So I think fumigation is also not really.
Dilution of 1:4. 1%.
Okay. Thank you, Vinisha. There's one more question as disinfection of fumigation of vehicle used for transportation of dead COVID patient. Disinfection is definitely required. You can use 70% alcohol and the entire vehicle has to be disinfected and then washed with soap and water. And that guidelines will be soon coming from the government of Karnataka as well. Even if the body is in the body bag, it's better we disinfect the vehicle. And the person handling the waste has to have complete PPE even with N95 mask.
You can share the email ID, Dr. Suman. You can share the email ID in the chat and they can write to us for specific questions.
Yeah, we will be sharing the email ID. So if there's anything specific, you can write to us on the email ID. I think we have shared it as an it's gone privately. Those of you who can note it down,
type it on the chat.
You can. ESM 2 padla. ESM 2 padla. Yeah, you can see in the, oh, it's gone privately. It's, okay, it's done, it's done. It's esm2wi@gmail.com.
Privately done, publicly.
Everyone publicly. Yes, you can still send questions to that email ID. We would be in a position to answer. If somebody said, is it advocated 70% alcohol for disinfection of transport vehicle? Well, if we use 1% sodium hypochlorite, it says so, 1% sodium hypochlorite for even disinfection of a vehicle, but 1% sodium hypochlorite is, sodium hypochlorite per se is a little corrosive when it comes to metal surfaces. So I leave the choice to you. I'm sure that alcohol has its limitation. I know it is little inflammable. So that would be one of the reasons why you have said whether it is okay to use 70% alcohol. You can use it on surfaces, wipe it. So therefore you would have disinfected the surface area. Yes.
Back in it.
There's a question that disposal of Vacutainer.
You are still not convinced.
Yeah.
RMCH board. Yes. Yes.
I think we can close it.
RMCH boardroom.
You can write to us.
I think we can answer you directly. If there are no more questions, then we call it a day. Thank you very much for your active participation. I would like to ask the registrar to close the meeting, sir.
We have Dr. Lingegowda, sir, Registrar of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, who would be giving the concluding remarks.
Thanks to everybody for this excellent participation in last couple of hours. I'm sure most of your doubts have been cleared. Similarly, and whoever has participated, around 400 registrants, please share all these things with your colleagues and friends. And regarding PPE and other things, every day there are several questions, especially after going through this WhatsApp University. People keep asking. So please clarify. And whatever our MS Ramaiah Medical College resourceful persons have shared with you, each one of you should share the same knowledge with others so that entire state will be covered with this. And university is interested in giving certificates to all the participants. So kindly note down this email ID, covid19rguhs@gmail.com. COVID, COVID19rguhs@gmail.com. Whoever has participated in today's workshop, please send an email which is certified by either your dean or HOD or principal to this email ID. Later we will be issuing the certificates. And I'm extremely thankful to all the resourceful persons at MS Ramaiah Medical College. So on behalf of Vice Chancellor from the university, we are extremely thankful to you, and we will let you know in future about the next workshops to fight this COVID-19 cause. Thanks everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, and thank you everyone.
And kindly, whatever questions, I'm sure we'll be having several questions, and whatever madam has given that email ID, please send questions to that email ID. Personally, we will be attending to your queries. And whenever possible, in your area, I have been seeing a lot of people from Health and Family Welfare. They have registered for today's workshop. From medical education, And in your area, you just try to organize this kind of meetings in college or hospitals and try to take the classes. And in that last 1.5 hours, whatever we have displayed, same thing you please share with your colleagues. In case ಏನಾದರೂ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸಹ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಯಿಂದ ರಾಮ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇನ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ವೀಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದು ತುಂಬಾ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಸುಮಾರಷ್ಟು ಜನರಿಗೆ ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಕಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಇನ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಇವತ್ತು ಸಮಯಾಭಾವದಿಂದ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ನಂದಾಗ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ, ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ PPE ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಹೇಗೆ ತೆಗಿಯೋದು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲದ ಮುಖ್ಯ. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಅಂದ್ಕೊಂತೀವಿ, ನಾವೇನು ಏನಿದ್ರು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಅಸ್ಯೂಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಲ್ಲ. ಸುಮಾರು ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ಅದು ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಹೇಗೆ ಅಂತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಹಿತ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಹೇಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು. ಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಅದು ಇವತ್ತು biomedical waste management, whatever is there, it's the most important thing as far as in this situation is considered, how to destroy it. So whatever doubts you have, please clarify with us. Thank you.
I would especially like to thank Dr. Prithvish, Dr. Raju and Vinisha who joined us online. Thank you very much. And somebody has asked, can the session be repeated? The recording will be uploaded on YouTube and you can definitely watch it. Thank you. Thank you so much. We end the meeting.